Hey guys, it's Kat. I just noticed today that BejeweledHedgehog, hi Alice, did a video response to somebody, and she spoke about how she became a reader when she was little, and what her favorite childhood books were. And I just wanted to do a quick video talking about that, 'cause as you can see from behind me, I am also very much a reader. I started reading really young. My parents started teaching me to read as soon as I could speak in full sentences. So when I was like 3 years old, which, makes sense. If a child is old enough to speak the language, might as well start teaching it to read the language. But I think the biggest reason why they started teaching me to read so young was because I always just had this desire to need to know what things said. Like, they'd be reading books to me, and I wanted to know for myself what the words said. I couldn't stand them reading to me anymore. I wanted to read myself. And like when we were driving places in the car, and I would see like store signs and stuff on the side of the road, I wanted to know what they said, and I always asked and asked. And when we were at the grocery store, I want to know what like food packages said. And I guess they got really fed up with me asking all the time, and they just started teaching me to read myself, so I'd stop asking. So I started reading when I was about 3, and when I started kindergarten, junior kindergarten, because here in Canada, well, in Ontario anyways, because each province has their own different education system, but in Ontario, kids start school at 4 years old in what we call junior kindergarten. I think in America it would be called like pre-kindergarten. And then after junior kindergarten, you have senior kindergarten, which is like regular kindergarten, and then grade 1 and up. So when I was in junior kindergarten, I was 4 years old. I was the only kid in my class who knew how to read. And obviously the teacher didn't believe I could actually read. I still have my report card where she wrote that I was really good at memorizing books. Like, she didn't believe I was actually reading. She thought I was just memorizing, which is kind of silly, because don't you have to know how to read something first before you can memorize it? But anyways, so yep, I started reading really young, and the first books I read were books by Robert Munsch. I think he's Canadian, maybe not. I don't know how popular he is in America, but he's really popular here. And I had a bunch of his books, and I read Franklin the Turtle books, Arthur books. I think Arthur was an anteater, maybe, or aardvark, or whatever he was. I never knew what he was. So I read the Arthur books. I read the Berenstain Bear books. I actually, when I first started getting an allowance when I was like 5 or 6 years old for doing little chores here and there, I'd get like 50 cents a week or something like that. And I would save up my money for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then I would go out and spend it all on a Berenstain Bear book. They were my absolute favorite. And I still have a whole like giant stack of them at my mom's house, and I'm keeping them there. I will not let her get rid of them, because when I have children, which will hopefully be soon, I would like to pass them on to them. They are like my most favorite books ever. And actually, I noticed recently at my local bookstore, because sometimes I like to go into the kids section and see like what's popular now, and they are still coming out with new Berenstain Bear books. They were written by a couple. I don't know if they were husband and wife or brother and sister, but they had the same last name. And the man just died a few years ago, but there's still books coming out now. So I guess I'm going to have to start collecting them again. But yeah, so those were my absolute favorite. And then as I got older and I started reading like little skinny children's novels, which I called chapter books, I used to read, I really liked series books. So like I read like the Babysitter's Club series, the Babysitter's Little Sister series, the Sweet Valley Twins series, Sweet Valley Kids series. because my library had like most of them, and my mom would take me to the library like every Saturday, and I would take out like stacks of books, and they would last me like a couple of days because I go through them so fast. I also read the Boxcar Children series, the Bobbsey Twins series. I don't know, there were so many different novel series that I read. And also, my favorite child novelist was Roald Dahl, the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That was like my favorite book ever. I read it, I don't even know how many times. I still have my original copy. It's on the bottom shelf here behind me. And I read it so many times that now the pages are starting to fall out, so I'm afraid to touch it. I love that book. Not a big fan of the new Johnny Depp movie. That was terrible. The movie that they made back in the 70s was much better. It wasn't exactly close to the book. There were a lot of changes they made, but I think the Johnny Depp version was an even farther departure, and I hated it. And the one guy that they got to play all the Oompa Loompas was, like, creepy. And Johnny Depp was creepy, and I just didn't like that version. But anyways, back to books. So those were basically the types of books I read as a child. And as I got older, I started reading, older and older novels, and now I read adult novels, obviously. And lately I have discovered, as I mentioned in a previous video, these crochet mysteries by Betty Hechtman. I'm now on the third one. Oh, I just dropped it. And I am also right now reading a bunch of books by the author John Green. He writes mostly young adult novels, but they're really good. And I had heard about him like years ago, but I'd never picked up any of his books. And I picked up one recently from the library entitled An Abundance of Catherines. And it's about this like child prodigy, and he's about to graduate from high school, and he keeps getting dumped by girls named Catherine, and it's kind of depressing but kind of entertaining. And I put like all the rest of John Green's novels on hold at the library right now, and I am in love with him as an author. And funny story, actually, I have my YouTube homepage up right now, and I can see some John Green videos on the sidebar there. But anyways, so that's, yeah. Oh, and one of my other favorite authors is L.M. Montgomery, Lucy Maud Montgomery. She's the author of the Anne of Green Gables books. But that's usually the only thing that people really know about her, but she has written tons of other books. There are other short story compilations that she's written, other novels, books of poetry, and over the last about 4 or 5 years, I've tried collecting like all of her books. She's been dead for a while now, obviously. And most of her books are not in print anymore, other than the Anne of Green Gables ones. So I've been frequenting used bookstores and trying to collect them all. I'm not really interested in poetry, so I was just trying to collect her novels and short story collections. And just a few months ago, I found the last few I needed. And the second shelf from the top behind me, the top shelf has The Simpsons on it. The shelf below The Simpsons, those are all the L.M. Montgomery books I have. And I haven't actually read them all, but I've read most of them, and I love her, and I love books from like back in that era, which she has written about back in like the early 1900s, mid 1900s. I don't know why I love reading about families in that era, so I love her stuff. And I have a lot of other random books, but they're not, I wouldn't say they're my absolute favorites. I don't know, I kind of jump between authors now and then. I don't really have any other favorites right now except Lucy Maud Montgomery and John Green. Although I know there are more I like, and I could mention a whole bunch more right now, but they've escaped my mind. I really should have like wrote a list or something. But so, yep, that's me and my reading history. And I guess that's all I have to say about that. And hopefully I will have another video up soon with some crochet projects. And speaking of books, I'm actually in the process of crocheting a book cover right now. I'm trying to make it the size for a paperback novel. I don't know why I wanted a book cover, I just did. So I'm in the process of working on that right now, and I have something else that I finished that I'm going to show. So hopefully I'll finish the book cover soon so I can get another video done. And so happy reading and happy crocheting, and I'll see you all later.